Do you want me to be vertical or do you want me to switch it to be horizontally?
It doesn't matter to me. The main thing is you just provide value for the listeners and tell them your story. So we ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, boys and girls, WesFly.Trained podcast episode 2. Today we're very lucky to be joined by none other than Big Daddy Av himself. He's a standout runner from Fresno, California. He graduated from Fresno High in 2017, where he made waves as one of the top young distance talents in the state. He competed in the big national meets and ran 8:53 for the 3200. Everett currently holds personal bests of 148 in the 800, 339 in the 1500, 358 in the mile, 1327 in the 5K, which is an NAIA record, and 2314 for 8K cross country, which earned him the NAIA national title in 2024. He's known in the running community not just for his grit and range across events, but also for his don't take yourself too seriously personality that brings a fresh energy to a sport people tend to take very seriously. Recently, Everett has competed extremely well against elite fields, including a dominant 5K win at the Brian Clay Invitational and multiple All American finishes in the 2025 NAIA Outdoor Championships. As he continues to rise through the ranks, he's proven he can hang with and beat top tier competition. Everett, how are you doing today, my friend? And where are we calling from?
I'm good, brother. I'm in Fresno, California at the moment. I'm back home touching bases with my family, racing some summer races out here. And then, yeah, have the next 3 weeks I'll be in different places for more races.
Let's go. What do you have stuff on your calendar? You're still trying to figure out what's next. I saw you were looking for somewhere to stay in New York City. I was assuming it's for a race.
Yeah, I was trying to go to the Brooklyn Mile, but it was a really last minute decision because I didn't realize it was the week of that I found out about it. And New York is such a hard place to navigate. So I was like, I'm gonna have to pass up on it and hopefully be prepared for it next year.
Cool, man. So scrap that one. What else you got on the calendar?
I'm doing the Cooper Tier 10 miler on Saturday. So it used to be called the Alameda 10 miler, but I guess they're honoring Cooper now. So it's his race, and hopefully I can win it. And it'd be kind of a little full circle moment just as longtime friends winning his first inaugural like race named after him.
Yeah, because I remember when I was in high school, we were in the same grade, and I saw you and Cooper kind of running up I guess, are you in Southern California, Northern California? Isn't it kind of like a little country in Fresno?
Yeah, I'm in
Farms?
Central Cal. Yeah, I'm in the dead middle of California. So they call us the Central Valley. And Cooper's 3 hours north of me. Ben Crawford used to be 3 hours south of me in Orange County.
Yeah, you guys, I remember were like the trio in high school running. And is that how you got connected with them, just through the running scene?
Yeah, I first met Ben. He used to take photos for Mile Split, so he'd be at different races across California. And then I made NXN by the luckiest positions ever my senior year. And when we got to NXN, Cooper had obviously made it as well. And by default, by being teammates, we hung out and clicked. And Ben just he would organize hangouts either at Ben's house or at Cooper's house, and we'd go there or to Ben's and hang out. And yeah, we just kept connecting with more people like Reed. Well, I guess the whole Oregon trio, they all went to the same school. So the friend group just grew from there.
Yeah, I'd say you guys were kind of pioneers in the media space, at least for our generation, with the YouTube channel during COVID. Like it was kind of going crazy. I remember, I think you guys went out to Wyoming and then did a stint in Boulder. But I want to take it back to like kind of like your childhood and when you first got into running. What was the first moment that you had, whether it was a workout or a race or a performance, where you realized, oh wow, I'm actually kind of good at this thing?
I first tried out in sixth grade because I had some of my classmates who were doing it, and I didn't have nothing else to do besides going home right after school. So I went out there with my fresh pair of all black Vans because that's what people used to rock back in the day. And practice as a sixth grader, you don't really do much besides who knows what we were doing. But I remember my first race, I got first place. And I was like, oh, either everyone sucks or I'm kind of good. And then the second race came, I got first again. And then the third race came and I got first. And then I ended up getting third, like 10th, and then like 20 something by like the league championships. I was like, okay, I'm not too bad, but I'm not as good as I thought. And then I didn't think too much of it. I played soccer my whole life. And then middle school came around. I tried it again in eighth grade for the same reason that my friends were in it. And I kept winning some races. And I think my worst finish was sixth at like the area finals. But I was still heavily into soccer. And then high school came around. I went to high school that I wasn't originally supposed to go to. I transferred into it because I wanted to be a lawyer at the time. And this high school was lawyer based. And so I didn't know any people and I was really introverted, so I didn't even want to try for any sports. And then I ended up transferring 3 weeks after and I went to the high school that I ended up graduating from, which was Fresno High. And my sophomore year I had to quit soccer because I had a lower back injury, but I couldn't. My fault. There's the trash person just by.
That's all good.
Wait, can you hear it?
Nah.
No? Oh, okay. But yeah, so once I quit soccer, I was like, I can't just not do any sports because I've been an athlete my whole life. And so I was just kind of wondering what I was going to do. And no, was this my sophomore year? No, it was my freshman year that I think I quit. And I failed my English class twice that semester because I transferred in and I was supposed to do summer work, even though I wasn't enrolled in the school. So I was like, I'm not doing it. And after summer school, people would go and play pickup basketball at the black courts by the gym. And then I saw a little group of kids just posted up. And I was like, well, they look like they do some kind of sport. And I asked them, they're like, yeah, we run cross country. I was like, well, how does one join? They said, just bring some shoes tomorrow. And that's literally all. You can meet the coach and you should be good. So I came in a pair of Roche runs. And then my coach at the time, he's like, all right, kids either do two runs. You run to the canal and back, which is 3 miles, or you go to a street called Shaw and back, and that's 6 miles. She says, but I don't know how good you are. And 6 miles is kind of a lot. So just go to the canal and back. So in my head, I was like, I don't think she knows how like athletic I am. So I ended up going all the way to Shaw and back. And despite it being an easy run, I was trying to prove something. So, I ran pretty quick. And when I got back, she was like, are you the first one back? I was like, yeah. And she was like, did you turn around at the canal? I said, no, I went to Shaw. And then from then on, she took me seriously. And yeah, I just stayed in it.
So it sounds like you're pretty talented from the beginning. Kind of like, was it a seamless progression all of your high school where you were just good in sixth grade and then you went out for the team and then you realized you're even better and then you just kept that rolling up until NXN and Brooks PR and all these big meets?
For sixth grade and eighth grade, when I first started, I guess just my talent alone served me well. But at the time, you only raced a mile. So when we got to high school and you're racing 5Ks, and I'm in Fresno, which is home to the California State Meet course at Woodward Park. That's a pretty brutal course for like younger kids. And my first ever 5K, I got like 20 something, which for me wasn't the norm because I was used to winning most of my races. And I ran 17:58 for a 5K. And I remember just being at the back of the pack. And there's so much like dust being kicked up because it's a dirt course. And in my head, I was like, I'm quite literally just eating the dust of everyone who's in front of me. And I finished, and my coach, she was like so excited about it. She's like, how do you feel? Like you just ran under 18 minutes, but I didn't know what times meant at the time. I just knew I got cooked. And I was like, it's the first race and it's my first high school race. But I was like, these kids are a lot better than me. And I was like, I'm not used to that. And there was one week and like a few weeks after we had Saturday practice and we were doing hill repeats on the course. And there's a hill called Killer Hill. That's the steepest hill in the race. And I just remember wanting to puke. a few reps in, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I can continue doing this. I was like, in soccer, you just pass the ball around, you hang out with your friends, and here you're just going to the ringer. But I was too scared to tell her in person that I was done. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait till I get home, text her that I'm probably not gonna go out anymore. But then once the workout finished, we got drove home and I wasn't tired anymore. I was like, you know what, maybe I can do one more day. And so I showed up again, and then I was like, you know what, I don't think I can quit. Despite I didn't really like running at the time, and so I kept going. And I had a coaching change every single year. So sophomore, junior, and senior year, I had different coaches. But it wasn't until late my sophomore year at our area championships to qualify to the state meet, I saw Lalo Herrera win like this section championship, and he just was swarmed by camera crews. And that specific moment, I was like, I want to know what that feels like. I said, but there's only one way, and that's for me to be in his position. And so I just went on Instagram. I searched him up. I found him. And then like all the recommended people showed up. Grant Fisher, Drew Hunter, Austin Tamagna at the time. And so I'm following all of these guys. And I keep seeing Foot Locker on their singlets and their pictures. I was like, what the hell is Foot Locker? So I go and search what is Foot Locker Nationals, and it's like it's the 40 best athletes in the country. I said, oh dang. I said, I didn't know people compete far beyond their own state. And then I just started searching up how I can get better. How do people train? Like, and so from form to mileage to workouts, I just started testing different things and running more. And I definitely burnt out a couple seasons, but it was through trial and error where I've like ended up figuring out the basic principle of like Monday through Saturday. Because I used to also not run on the weekends. It was just Monday through Friday and then resume when we get back to school. And I had a friend of mine, his name was Jorge Perez. He said, hey man, you can be really good, but if you want to become good, you have to also do a long run every Saturday or Sunday. And I said, oh, damn, I never knew that. So it was just learning and wanting to be good because I was a good soccer player. So I couldn't do running and just be average at it because I've always been used to being a good athlete. And so I said, whatever I do now, I have to figure out how to get there.
Yeah, it sounds like your mind was opened up to a new world that you wanted to be in, and then you kind of got to the lab and got to work. Tell me about your training setup in high school. I know you said you had three other coaches and you had no clue what you were doing, and then you implemented the long run. But I think we see online nowadays a lot of people have really fancy training methods and really specific science backed bicarb, lactate, heart rate stuff. What were you doing in high school? Because I think it'd be kind of refreshing to hear a more traditional, less scientific approach where you can still run sub 9 minutes in the 3200.
Yeah, so for a while I did it on a Garmin. One of my friends who was one of Lalo's teammates at the time, he was like, yeah, you got to invest in a GPS watch. It tells you how far you're running, how fast you're running, and it's a good way to track how far you run every week. So I bought the cheapest Garmin I could find. And then we didn't have structured workouts until my junior year. We would, and it wasn't until track season. So I did progress from my sophomore to junior year in cross country. I ended up running 15:45, but like I could not recall any workouts, any training methods I did at the time. I think it was the fact that I started running just a little bit more than I was used to
So
because of like the reason.
15:45 off of very minimal training.
Yeah, I would
You
say,
realize you realize you're talented, right? Would you consider
yeah,
yourself talented?
yeah, I would.
Okay.
Because if I
That may
had to
be
guess,
discouraging for some people to hear because a lot of kids are trying to break 17 minutes in the 5K and they're training.
yeah, I think just because since I didn't have any running in my legs, any new stimulus that I would add, like by nature, it was going to benefit me because it's something my body wasn't used to. So I would adapt. But I'd say I was probably running 30 in the 30-mile ranges. And it wasn't until like late my heading into junior year track where I was like fixed on running 40 to 45 miles a week. And then my senior year, I did get to some 50-mile weeks, but I somehow would always just float around the 45s. But once I did get like fully structured workouts where we're actually doing repeats on the track and intervals, that's when I saw a lot more progress. And then from there, the more you do it, the faster your paces get. And the only year I can actually recall like what my training would look like was my senior year. It was a Tuesday workout, which would more be like tempo stuff. I had a coach who he did marathons. And then on Thursdays, we would do track stuff. And his go-to was 8 by 400, 4 by 200. But sometimes by that point, like I was seeing what other people were doing. And so I was like, wait, can we do this? Can we do this? And I would talk to Cooper and all these other runners. And so I'd hear their workouts and I would just try to fix it up so that it could be applicable to me. But yeah, so for the first 2 years that I ran sophomore and junior year, I didn't really have any structure other than that my junior year I started running on the weekends. And that really helped me a lot.
How did you get connected with CJ Albertson, and what's your relationship with him?
Yeah, me and CJ, I'd say probably when I got to college and I got a little bit faster, we so every July at the end of the month, my coach puts on a 5K. It's called the Miguel Reyes 5K. And it's grown to be a competitive 5K. He invites like Mexican athletes from out of the country. There's one of his Kenyan friends will come, but he gives good prize money. So CJ Albertson, who lives in Fresno, will show up to that because it's an easy money grab. And I think once I was able to compete alongside him, he he's a big fan of running, whether it's high school, college, pros. He keeps up with everybody. So he was like, he'd be like, "Oh, how's school in Portland going? How's running? Like, I see you ran this." And so we just would keep in contact by seeing each other around. And then one of my friends, he actually was his assistant coach a couple of years ago. So I'd be at a lot of their practices, like for their easy runs. And so yeah, now sometimes if he needs help with like me pacing a workout or he just needs someone to run with, we'll do it. We don't hang out very often because his training is significantly different than mine. But I mean, he's just in Fresno. He's a really good runner. So we don't have too many good runners here. So it's pretty easy to be connected. But yeah, I'd say primarily because my friend was his assistant coach. So I was always around him.
Yeah, I knew you guys were in the same area, and he has a very unorthodox training regimen. So I've always been intrigued from what he's up to. I want to talk more kind of about like the business side of things later in the episode, but I'm curious. I had this question. What's the most amount of prize money that you've picked up just from placing well in a race?
In one singular race,
Yeah, just like third place, like from the purse, not from any appearance fee or brand deal or anything like that. Just strictly prize money.
5,000 is the most I've made in one race.
What was that one? I mean, that's pretty solid. That's like
Yeah.
that's over 5 months. I mean, that's like 10 months rent in Mississippi.
Yeah, that was in at Wharf to Wharf last summer. So that
That
lands on us.
I think I read the race report on that. I think you were like with like 2 miles to go, you were like almost dropping, and then you did get dropped, and then you found a second wind. Was that one?
Yeah, that's probably one of the most proud races I have to date because of that lands on a Sunday. The day before, I raced the Miguel Reyes 5K here in Fresno at the state meet course at Woodward Park, which is a hard course, like I've mentioned. And so it's hard to go from a 5K and then the next day you have a 6 mile race, and it was competitive. You didn't have any like high level pros, but you had just the people below them. So there was a couple Africans. You have Reed Buchanan, Matt Baxter, Sydney Gidabade, and then Aiden Reed. So when I seen all these people, I was like, man, I might be cooked. And so the race started and we went out in 4:28. My 10K PR is 29:17, which is roughly like like high 440s, almost 450s. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna roll with it because I had broke the course record at Woodward Park and I ran 14:06, which was pretty impressive because the course record is 14:24.
And CJ
So I was
was
like,
right behind you, wasn't he?
no, it was this
He
kid
wasn't
named
in
Art.
that.
He just wasn't behind us.
Yeah, he was way far back.
Yeah. And so two of the guys that I beat, his name was Arthurs. He used to run at CBA. and then Reed Buchanan was third on Saturday. They were also in that race. So when they were ahead of me, I was like, okay, I just beat y'all yesterday. So I know I could beat y'all again. And so the race goes, but Africans love to surge up every single hill they see. It's like, I don't know what it is. They love sprinting them. And after a mile, you just start getting rolling hills the entire course. So I got dropped on like four different occasions and I would catch up a little bit on the downhills. But around 4 miles, it was Matt Baxter, no, Aiden Reed, Matt Baxter, and then like a group of
Sid
three.
Vaughn.
No, Sydney Gidabade.
Yeah.
And so I was in like sixth or seventh place. And I'm just watching these guys and I'm climbing up a hill. But then in my head, that's day I had this mantra. I was like, just be like Connor Mance. Because this Connor Mance can get dropped and he catches back up. And like in any road race, that guy, he knows how to fight despite like a race not going his way. And so I picked people off slowly. And with a mile to go, I was in fourth. So I was like, okay, that's $1,000 if I just stay here. But there was a canyon fading, and I said, go take 1,000 from him too. So I caught him. I was like, okay, now I'm at 2,000 if I stay here. And then there was the third Kenyan. He was in third place. I said, he's right there. You might as well get his ass too. And I caught him, and I was like, all right, that's 3K, which I'm okay with. But the last 400 is all downhill. So I see Matt Baxter and Aiden Reed. I'm like, all right, these guys can't run sub four right now. And I was like, this summer I've ran a couple 1500s at the equivalent. So I said, I know I'm faster than them when it comes to a sprint. And then I just started hauling ass for my life because I was like, imagine if you can catch them and you get 4,000. I didn't know there was $1,000 bonus for being the top American. So then I started sprinting and I think I ran 54 seconds downhill and I barely edged out Aiden Reed at the very end. And yeah, it's probably one of the hardest races I've done, but also one of the most proud that I've been in. And the environment there is crazy because so after you get the awards and you get the Mayor's Cup, you walk by and there's a bunch of little bars by the beach and everyone sees it and people just go crazy and they're like, yo, let's get you a beer, let's get you a beer. So we filled up the Mayor's Cup with beer and I was with just a random entourage of people that were there for the race and I just, yeah, it was a
And you
great
were a
time.
superstar.
Yeah, so it's one of my favorite races. I did again this year, but they slashed the prize money because they had to donate a bunch of it to repair one of the wharves that got collapsed by the water.
I think that highlights one of the principles I try to teach in coaching is like you don't want the races to be easy because then they're not going to be as meaningful when you come out on the other side. Like if you go to, I don't know, a dual meet and you beat up on a bunch of kids and it's all fun and easy, it's like who really cares? So that's your biggest prize on the roads. What is your biggest prize picks win?
My biggest prize picks win.
I see you
So that
posting the bets online.
yeah, this one I don't know if it really counts, which I guess it does. So I somehow won a free lineup giveaway. You know when they pick like 10 people, if you comment under their post, they'll pick random winner. Last summer, I won one, and it was a four pick bet that could win you 5,000 if you got all four correct. But I got three out of four picks correct. And so it paid out 1,500 in promo funds. So all last summer, I was just betting with house money. And I was able to turn it into like $800 of profit by the time I ran out. So I'd say that's the most. But just like out of my own money, I think I did a Flex Friday. I put in 20 bucks and I got 300 from a WNBA lineup.
There we go. Okay, so nothing, not betting the house on it.
No, not yet.
We talked a lot about the high school experience and journey. You've seemed to find success at every level, from high school to college to now competing with the pros. How have you handled the transitions in training? Has it all been one step up and it's come easier, or did you face any challenges when you got to college and then when you got to the pro running? Because I would consider you a pro runner as someone who's on the outside looking in, even though the definition is vague.
Yeah. I would say in high school came a lot easier just because everything I did was new. So most runners that just get new stimulus are going to improve. When I got to college, though, my freshman year, I did improve a lot just because it was a new added stress that I wasn't used to, more miles, faster workouts, and then I just had a load of guys to train with. So I ended up running 14:06 in the 5K my freshman year indoors, and I ran 29:21 in the 10K. And typically I can run longer distances, I just don't like them. And I only ran 4:05 in the mile, I believe. But after that, so I didn't know it at the time, but I was overtraining a lot because we weren't doing slow tempos or controlled threshold workouts. Every tempo, every guy's just racing each other. And so we're doing 6 to 10 miles and everyone's just going hard. And then our track days are also hard. Like we wouldn't run slower than 440 pace. And so at the end of my freshman year and at the end of my sophomore year, like in the middle of outdoor track, it got to a point where I was so fatigued that I couldn't jog 2 miles without having to stop and walk back home and like just felt like I was gonna pass out. And at the time I thought I had some disease going on. And so I asked my coach if we can get blood work done and we did. And every person that we got tested by it was like, everything's fine. Like you could take a little bit more vitamins, but it's nothing that should be making you feel like this. And they would mention like you might just be burnt out. But in my head, I refused to accept it because I was running 60, 65 miles at the time. I'm like, I have teammates who run 100 miles a week. And so if they're completely fine, I should be fine too. But looking back on it, it was definitely burnout. So I didn't have a good outdoor track season for my freshman and sophomore year. And then and then COVID came. So I didn't, my junior year, I definitely didn't have an outdoor season. And it wasn't until I left Portland once and I had my own control for like training and all that. I just started going on Strava and seeing what the best programs were doing and the best runners. And the one thing that I found in common with everyone was that on Tuesdays, on their tempo or threshold days, people are running from 5:20 pace to 5:10 pace. And I was like, wow, a guy that runs 3:55 in the mile would do some repeats, maybe a K in 3:07. And here I am thinking everything has to be 4:55 pace or faster. So I said, okay, let me slow it down. So I started finding guys who had similar PRs to me. And so my like a threshold day is pretty simple. You do anywhere from 800 to a mile. And so I would do that very controlled. But every Friday, these guys you're doing a real specific session. Shut up. And so just seeing what everyone was doing and implementing it to me and like adjusting it so that it fits my training and my paces, that's when like my true breakthrough came. Because in Portland, I didn't, after my freshman year, I didn't really run anything good. Like I was at a good program, but the results weren't showing. But I knew I could, like, I'm supposed to be good, and I know I can. I know what they're barking at our cat.
That's okay.
Nemo.
I can barely hear it.
Oh, okay. And so when I left and I strung together some good training and I had my first outdoor season in 2023, like I PR'd in every single event. And I was like, okay, so slowing down is what I needed. And so from then on, I always knew like no matter where I go, I'm gonna have to make it known that I like training a specific way that works for me. And then I've just been consistent. I think I don't get injured, which also helps me out a lot.
Knock on
And
wood.
yeah, I mean, I say this all the time. Like I've had little niggles here and there, but for the most part, I'm pretty durable, and I'm not sure how. Maybe because I lack a lot of muscle in my body. I don't know. And yeah, so I've always felt like in my head, I think of it as I haven't ran as fast as other people have, therefore I have more to give. Because like I see some guys that go to college and maybe they run 358, 359, and that's all they ever give, and then they just give up. But like I know how fast I can be, and so that's what keeps me going. And I don't know, just the more training I do and the more I keep showing up, like I just adapt to whatever level I have to be at for the most part, which I will say like post collegiately is a lot harder because you're being stacked up against the best runners in the world, which I'm not quite there yet. But I think I'm very undertrained still. and I have so much more room to grow because I haven't ran 90-mile weeks consistently. I've never touched 100-mile weeks yet. And yeah, but I think it's going to be time for me to dive up into those numbers now that I'm out of college because like the clock is still ticking and you're only young for so long. So I need to take that gamble.
I love it, man. That you get me fired up. You said, I know how fast I can be. How fast can you be? Or you know what you
Shoot,
can do? Where do you see yourself in 2 years?
2 years, I don't even know. I just know that I can I know I can run close to like 13 flat or get under 13. I mean, I've always kind of based myself around what Lalo has done because everything he's done, I think a year or two older than me. No, a year. I kind of just I'm like, okay, I was able to emulate what he did in high school. I should be able to do it again at this age, which obviously at this point in my career, the older you get and the faster you get, things become very more specific and you need good mentorship, good coaches, good training programs. So that's something I'm gonna have to try to figure out. But I think I can be one of the best Mexican runners that's ever lived, whether that is in the marathon and any event. I think I can just toss myself in the top three all time. So that's what I want to do. That's a goal of mine. And down the road, if I do really fall in love with the roads, I do want to compete in the Olympics for Mexico in the marathon and try to get a medal. But that's gonna be tough because every year the Africans get better, the Europeans get better. So
So do the
it's gonna be
Mexicans.
yeah, because it's been a while since they've been on the world stage, and Lalo's the first one who's bringing us back. So I don't want to have him out there doing all the work by himself.
Dude, you remember Carlos Villarreal?
I do.
Man, I guess that's like a 354 miler that I don't know if he got injured or whatever, but absolute stud. So we're kind of looking at the future and what times you're going to be targeting. What's your current training, coaching environment setup? What are you looking to do this fall? I think you have a couple more summer races. If you're kind of like projecting your next year, what do you want the summer racing to look like? Are you going to put in a big block in the fall? Are you returning and running cross country? Kind of tell me about that setup.
Yeah, so for the summer, I have the 10 miler this Saturday, and I'm going to the Falmouth Road Race next week in Massachusetts. I'll be pacing the mile there, and then that's a Friday. On Sunday, they have a 7 miler, which I'll be doing. And they give out a lot of prize money there. I think the winner gets 10K. So
Ben
I just want to,
Flanagan.
yeah, if I can crack the top five, which based off my 6 miler a couple weeks ago, I should be able to be competitive. And then the following week, I'm going to Chattanooga and I'm doing a mile there. It's called the Cameron Mile. I've gone the last 2 years now, and it's a great event. It's a great community that puts it on, and they're really hospitable. So I'm going there again. And then the week after that, the final Saturday of the month in August, I'm running a 5K in OKC in Norman, Oklahoma, where OU's at. And they just have a local 5K, but they have a $2,000 bonus if you can break the state record. I think it's 1351 or 53. It is through like a neighborhood, so it's not like a track, but is as long as I'm in shape, which I am, I think I should be able to get it. So it'd be $2,500 if all goes right. And after that, I plan on taking like a week off just because I've been racing a lot this summer and I just want to reset. And then I do want to put in a big block of training this fall. In terms of what my setup's going to be, I'm not, as of now, I'm planning on moving to St. Augustine, Florida. I have a old teammate of mine from OKC who lives out there and they have an extra bedroom. And the rent's pretty cheap. And like I didn't have to do any work to find a place to live. They just have it. And that's the main reason I'm going. But also I think he runs for Flagler and I'd be able to like train with the team at times and maybe use their facilities. So just having a setup based around a team still will be helpful. But I do want a contract. Ultimately, that's what like any runner that's going to continue running wants. And my college coach, he used to run for Under Armour back in the day before. like the shoe tech upgraded and all that. So he's really connected with a lot of agents, a lot of coaches, and I think he's trying to help me out as well. He was mentioning that we're going to talk with the Under Armour team in Flagstaff. But until then, like until I hear something back, like I'm set on going to Florida. And then, yeah, so far this summer, or kind of since outdoor track in college, I was coaching myself because our coach resigned, and I just like I kind of had the freedom to do what I wanted. So like like I kind of know how to train myself based off before I got to OKC. So that's what I've been doing. Like I just Tuesdays I keep it simple, threshold or tempo or hills, and Friday I just go and see what people have been doing in terms of like specific workouts on Strava, and then I see what I can nitpick to incorporate for whatever race I'm getting prepared for.
Wow. So you're essentially coaching yourself, you're essentially supporting yourself, and yeah, that's really impressive, man. And you're still showing up and stomping these people out. Are you doing most of your workouts alone? Like, do you just go out to the track and send it for 30 minutes on Fridays when you're doing those race prep workouts?
Yeah, everything's been like even at when I was at Oklahoma City, all my workouts are primarily by myself because anything longer than a 600 rep, no one else can really keep up with me on the team. But we do have middle distance guys there, and so anything under 600 meters, like they're putting me to work. But yeah, everything's on my own, like the long runs, the track workouts, easy runs. I do everything by myself. So it'll be nice to have my friend in Florida and have company. But yeah, and then in Oklahoma City, it was terrible because the humidity, the wind, the heat, it's so hot. Fresno is known for being like 110 each summer, and it's actually really nice weather here compared to the Midwest right now. And but despite that, it's still hard showing up to a track on your own and just trying to run whatever race pace it is you're focused on with no one there besides you and your heartbeat.
Yeah, that's sick. It makes me think that there's a ton of room for improvement. Like, obviously, the times you're running are fast as is, and then you factor in he coaches himself, he trains alone. Um, what what are the challenges you face in training? Obviously, mentally having to be the one that pushes everything. Anything else that I'm not thinking of? Are you able to get to a gym for a weight room? It looks like you're on the move all the time.
Yeah, so when I'm in OKC, I do have access to our school gym still because I'm on campus. And then here in Fresno, my friend Eddie, he coaches the a high school team, the Central High School team, and he has access to the weight room and he has 7 a.m. practices for his kids. So I usually go to the track when he goes. And but other than that, I guess the challenges would be one, like having to be mentally strong to not crack during workouts and like be able to finish and like stay on the gas. Because it's easy to be like, you know what? I don't have people next to me. Like it's a lot harder because I'm alone. I can slow down and adjust it. But I'm like, there's guys like Grant Fisher, there's other professionals around the world who train by themselves. But yeah, I guess just the lack of people there. But I've done it enough to where I know that I might not see the best splits on the track by myself during training, but I know when I get to a race, I can always compete better because it's just a different environment. And by nature, if you can't run faster than you do in training, then you're doing something wrong. So, like sometimes I don't get discouraged if I have to slow it down a little bit in practice. But yeah, and then I guess just the financial side. Once you don't have your school to book your flights and put you in hotels, it's a lot challenging. So, luckily there's a lot of races that do accommodate for lodging and they'll give you some travel expenses. And then yeah, just having my own meals and all that. But it's life. You gotta figure it out.
Yeah. What's your relationship with food and how do you use it to fuel your training, or do you not even think about it?
I don't really ever think about it. I just know like I've always loved food. I love to eat. It's one of the things I look forward to almost every single day. And but I do prioritize my health a lot more now that I'm getting older. Like I do like eating whole foods. I love steak. I love making sure I get enough protein in. But I do have Nemo. And then I love fruits as well because without a like I've always loved sweets, but I've learned now that every time I have fruit with each meal, by the time I'm hungry again or I do have a craving, it's time to train. And after training, I'm gonna have to eat a real meal. So yeah, I don't think too hard about food. I know a lot of runners do, primarily women, which like I always say, I know it's controversial because people are like, you don't know what people go through, but I'm like, if the biggest issue you have in your life is your relationship with food, you're very privileged because people have real shit they got to worry about. Like people in third world countries, people who may be homeless. But yeah, I don't know. Food's not that complicated. Just eat what you like, don't eat what you don't like, and drink enough electrolytes.
Yeah, that reminds me of like a 50 Cent quote. I think he says broke people don't have time to be depressed because they got to go do shit. So they can't like sit there and worry about their feelings. Um, I don't want to burn any bridges, but who's your dream sponsor if you could choose?
Yeah, so you mentioned Carlos Villarreal earlier, and he used to run for On. And when he left, I was like, they don't have a Mexican on the team anymore. And now that Under Armour has Lalo and he's running exceptionally well, I'm like, surely they'd want to fill that category in again. So that was always a group I was like really into, like since they were created. So I really like them because they when they first started, they mentioned how they're focused on diversity and not just having a bunch of Americans because they want to have as many of their guys go and compete at the major championships. But honestly, the On group, Nike's obviously just by default, like, and when you're a kid dreaming on who you want to run for, that's what it is. And then, yeah, Ni Adidas, but I don't know if Adidas, I'm not sure Adidas has many training groups. They have Atlanta, but I don't know. I don't see myself in Atlanta.
Come on,
But
dude.
honestly,
I'm moving back there in June. We'll get you set up real good.
yeah, which from whatever, like from when they first started out to now, I know they have a lot more resources now, and it's a lot of a better setup. They just need better uniforms.
Yeah, they were like a not super respectable group when I was in high school and college coming up, but recently they got like Luke Hauser and um what's his name? Luciano Fore, who's run like 145 or 146 multiple times. What do you make of Cooper Lutkenhouse and all the insane times that we're seeing nowadays? Like 142 at 16 years old, and Ethan Strand obviously is running 348 in the mile. As someone who's in the sport and competing against like other people who are just taking the sport to a crazy level, what do you make of all of it?
I think it's incredible, and it also speaks to the good job that their coaches do in terms of staying up to date with training trends. And I mean, that's pretty much it because that's how you get good is through training. So it'd be, if runners were a lot more displayed on, like if they displayed how they train either through social media or something, so people could see like, what they're doing, which I don't think it's anything crazy or groundbreaking, but they're doing something right. A lot it would draw more people in because like even outsiders looking in, you hear about the 16-year-old that just ran really fast. Like they don't understand what 142 is. They just know it's one of the best to do it. Like they'd want to see, okay, how is he training? But he doesn't really have that display of media. But I think it's a wake up call to everybody that like you can't just stay complacent and you got to find ways to get better. And like people say train smart, but sometimes you just have to take the gamble and like really go into the deep end and just try things. Because if you never try, you're never gonna know what's on the other side of it. Because again, if you just stay comfortable, you're gonna have comfortable results. So I think it's just a good wake up call for people to get on the horse.
If you're not growing, you're dying. Everett, it's been a pleasure. I feel like I got to know you a lot better. I've got a lot of respect for you, my friend. I'm rooting for you. I feel like you're someone that that makes it entertaining to watch. And I appreciate the time. I know you have a lot going on. So I'm gonna let Benjamin ask a question if he has one. If not, I'm gonna leave you to it.
Appreciate you, my brother. Thank you. And again, I'm always rooting for you too.
Let's go. It's funny. We used to like throw shots at each other online, but I think deep down we both knew that we were playing the game.
Yeah, it was always fun. The only
What's
people
up,
who
Ben?
probably the
Go ahead.
only the only people who probably didn't think it was all fun and games was Tin Man because they would take it to heart.
Yeah. I was on a podcast last night and they started asking me about that. It's just funny time. Bayless, you got anything for my friend Everett?
Yeah, so with your following on social media, have you thought about going into coaching to replace some, side income? I mean, and also your
Yo,
story was pretty cool with what I've
yo,
listened to. What?
quit pitching Everett on the coaching thing. This was my master plan. I want to get him under the WesFly.Trained umbrella.
No, I'm saying I'm not for mine. No, it's not for mine. I'm just saying in general. And I know the name's trademark now, Blue Collar Track Club, but I mean, your story is, I mean, very, compelling. It's very motivating as someone right now that's post collegiate now training on their own. Um, but no, like Hard Knocks Track Club or something, like you could make a genuine brand with this. And I know with your following, you'd probably have 10 to 20 people sign on like that. And I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Hang on,
so I
before
do
before
coach.
Everett goes,
Oh,
yeah, just piggyback on Benjamin. Absolutely, you can sell a digital product, and I think you'd be a great coach. All right, go ahead.
yeah, so I do coach some people on the side. I started last year for the summer, and I stopped when I got to college because schoolwork is pretty hectic. And then I started again this summer, but I was primarily focused on any high schoolers who like wanted just to build up in the summer. So I've been doing that, but as summer's coming to a close, like the training plans are going to be up. But I'm gonna re-advertise it again for now, just anyone in the fall who might be looking at marathons or road races, whatever it might be, which I have done it. So that's something I do want to do. I also want to expand. You guys know how I wear the skeleton gloves for some races?
Yeah, I saw that in the Brian Clay 5K. I was wondering. I thought you were doing a Kip two.
No, so I've had those since 2023. I bought them in the winter at Target from a kids section. It was a plain black pair and then the skeleton glove pair. And I was like, these are kind of sick. Like if it was summertime though, so I was like, most races aren't cold, but if I have a reason to like wear them, I will. And like a lot of people will ask me about them, but yeah, I'm just like I got them at Target one time and they don't sell them anymore. So I want to figure out how to make those because I feel like a lot of kids would want to buy them because having gloves for cross country races is a great accessory. So I'm venturing out into how I can other ways to make money. So I'm just not very savvy as you are. Like you've made merch before, you know how all that goes. I'm clueless and I haven't even looked into it, but something I do want to do. But yeah, I will start advertising coaching more like in the coming weeks. I'm not established yet. Like I haven't moved anywhere specifically, so it's hard just being on the go and trying to navigate everything. Like, I'm doing food reviews as well and just trying to build up my TikTok following and things of that nature.
Dude, you've got an awesome platform, and you can definitely get creative with some ways to create some additional income, coaching, merch. I think I think people should move more in the direction like elite runners that aren't necessarily top three in NCAA's are moving more in the direction of like getting a bunch of mini sponsorships and creating their own platform and selling their own products through there.
Yeah, and I think that's a smart idea because like life as we know it now, it's very centered around how marketable you are. Like as long as you're trying to be someone that is giving exposure to some company. Because like if you're just gonna work a regular job, like you don't got to be anybody to do that. But I remember Spencer Brown, also known as the Athlete Special. He said if I didn't make YouTube videos, I probably wouldn't have signed with Brooks that one year that I did. And like there was that one Nike guy, the hurdler, who just got let go by Nike because they said he's not very marketable or they want him to be more present. So yeah, I've always said if there's two runners, One runs 356, another one runs 354, but the 356 guy has thousands of followers and people know who he is, and the other guy's just not well known. Any company's going to invest in the guy that has more exposure because ultimately they're trying to sell gear and shoes and just get more eyes on their company. So I think it's an important thing now because everything's moving to a digital world, and unfortunately numbers will start to matter. And I mean, yeah, it's also good exposure for yourself because outside of the sport, there's random companies that will find you and will either pay you for a sponsorship, a one-time ad, whatever the case may be. So that's why, people are like, "Oh, when are you going to sign a contract?" I'm like, that'll come when it comes. But for now, as long as I focus on building myself up, something will come about. It always has and it always will. So I don't stress too much about the future because, right, the man above, he has whatever in store for you that he has. And right, you can have a plan, but I've learned well enough. A plan doesn't mean nothing because it can just vanish overnight. So
Yeah, man. I believe in you. I think good things are coming your way.
thank you, thank you.
Well, all right, boys. It's been real. Everett, thanks again. Benjamin, good luck training that marathon. I'm going to be tuned in for.
All right, it was a pleasure.
I'm talking to Patrick Sang later today about the interview with Elliot. So
Perfect.
I got you. I'm
Keep me
not even
posted.
kidding. I have a call with this coach today, so
Let's
I
go.
am going to get that for you.
The offer remains.
Offers on the table, and also you can get a sponsorship 100%. Gray Morris just signed with Puma just because of connections, and you're connected, and if you keep digging into those connections, you will 100% get a sponsorship, and just keep at it.
Appreciate
Yeah,
you.
so some people get sponsorships like, how the hell does this kid have it? He doesn't have a following and he's slow.
Yeah, there's a lot of those now, but you know, a lot of the times it's probably just gear, which gear is nice, but
Yeah,
I don't.
that doesn't pay the rent.
Yeah.
All right, boys. I could go all night, but that's an hour. Y'all have a good week.
All right, take care.
Peace.